Blue Devils. They'll go with Trajan Langdon, Cherokee Park.
Sensational careers, two of the best centers in the United States, former teammates, so they actually know each other extremely well, not only having played on together in the Goodwill games as teammates, but also you got to figure day in, day out practicing against each other, so there shouldn't be many secrets here. Both guys are very gifted big men.
The rest of the Wake Forest starters, Scooter Banks, Ricky Parole, Randolph Childress, and Tony Rutland as the Deeks. And the Devils go head-to-head in Winston-Salem. We will have the opening tip-off for you when we come back to Winston-Salem right after these messages. The acting head coach, ably assisted by Tommy Amaker and Mike Bray. And the head coach of the Wake Forest team at Deacons is Dave Odom. And Billy, Wake, the only ACC team with a winning record against Duke in the last 4 years. Coach Odom has guided the Deeks to 5 wins in the last 8 games against the Blue Devils.
And, of course, they've really been hot here at home against them. Knocked them off from being #1.
The Deeks have won 3 straight and 4 of the last 6 matchups against Duke, and we mentioned the fact that Dave's club last year won both games during the regular year. This series, the Duke-Wake Forest series, acknowledged as the longest in the state of North Carolina. The first college basketball game in this state played between these two. Duke leads all time, but we mentioned the recent Deacon success. And some big keys for Duke as you see Meek and Langdon and Parks come out to challenge the Deeks. Duke is 0-2 in ACC play. Frank Scagliata, Larry Rose, and Duke Edsel are officials. And that one was hit all the way up. So the ball will belong to the Blue Devils.
I said these guys wouldn't have many secrets between them. You see that Tim Duncan tried to steal a tap on the way up. That ball almost didn't get out of the referee's hand. Straight man.
Parole is on Capel.
Parks, who can shoot the shot from the outside, doesn't mind taking it.
Missing the 3. Here's Meek inside, and Duncan with his first block of the game. Leads the conference with 43, but coming back is Capel to hit the 3-pointer.
Duncan has blocked 8 shots on 3 different occasions. Great drive and a changeover against Capel. No help from the weak side.
Well, you don't see that happen very often against the Duke defense.
Well, there should have been somebody from the weak side there to help out. He's looking for a little baseline help.
3-2, Duke on top. Early moments here for Winston-Salem. Langdon, short. Tipped and a foul, and this one will go against Duke.
Meek coming over the back. A lot of room for driving on the inside. Wake Forest has done a good job this year on defense, but one of the things you have to take in consideration is the quality of their schedule early on. You know, when you look at it, they had Florida, and other than that, they really didn't play the type of competition that Duke has so far.
Wojciechowski with the all-out hustle.
That will not stop. Had Duke against Illinois earlier this year. A freshman that's moved right into that starting lineup and held down his job. Good distributor of the ball, hard-nosed kid.
Waits Tony Rutland, the freshman from Hampton, Virginia, handling the basketball against Jeff Capel. Scooter Banks over Meek.
Banks has great elevation on that jump shot. Former high school high jumper. A guy who waited his time to get into this starting lineup at Wake Forest, but certainly capable.
Wojo, little long. Meek throws it away over the outstretched hands of Trajan Langdon. Billy, we noticed on the Duke stat sheet the turnovers versus the assists. It's staggering. 217 assists and 216 turnovers.
And you know, Wake Forest is there at 112 assists and 149 turnovers. So both of these clubs not doing a good job protecting the ball. One of the reasons, obviously, that Duke has struggled. Childers. Rojo got a piece of his arm.
Rutland went for the steal, didn't get it. Spotting up Jeff Capel. And he banks it in. The Duke guards have been, I hate to say struggling, but the inconsistent, I guess, would be the best way to put it, with their shooting percentages this year. Well, good sign for Capel.
Well, you figure Capel and Collins coming back in that backcourt, and then 3 freshmen vying for playing time. I think that's one of the things with this ball club that'll get much better when they settle down. Who's going to get the minutes and win?
Duncan took it low with the dribble, and that enabled Duke to come up with the steal. Langdon misses the 3. And Banks clears to Rutland.
Looking to run. Banks is looking for the lob.
And the rebound goes to Langdon.
Rutland didn't realize he was going to be that wide open. Did you notice he was looking for somebody to pass to, found himself wide open, and was a secondary thought.
Another three. Jeff Capel came in shooting 50% from three-point range. Duke leads at 9-4. He's done all the scoring.
And right over Randolph Childress, who's saying, hey, this is my court.
Here's Perall inside. Height advantage over Langdon. Score it and a foul.
And he can post up all night in there on Langdon. Really an easy target. Nobody helping out. And you talk about doubling down on a post man. If Langdon is going to have to play Perall inside like that, he's really going to need some help.
Ricky Perall.
Sat out all last year. Controversy with the NCAA regarding his attending Wake Forest.
When you think about Perall, Bill, you have to think about Mokhtar Injai now at Michigan. If he was in this Wake Forest mix, it would really bolster the Deacons.
It certainly would, and you'd have to consider that as fine a recruiting group of frontline players in one class if there's been without a lot of attention given to him.
Capel turns it over. The Duke lead is 2. We're 3 minutes into the first half. Pete Gaudette, who has head coaching experience, replaced Mike, in fact, as the head man at Army, when Mike left to come to Durham.
Not a lot of pressure in this game so far defensively. Both clubs allowing the other team to do about what they want to. Not a sign of what you normally see from a Duke University team defensively.
Childress complaining that ball was last touched by Wojo, but instead it's going to go over to the Blue Devils.
Unless it hit his leg on the way out, I'd have to agree with him.
Here's Perall picking up Langdon in midcourt.
Well, there's the change on this end of the floor, where Perall has the advantage inside on his end. Langdon certainly has the advantage to go by him on his offensive end.
Just an impossible angle for that shot by the Chief. Meanwhile, the Deeks run, and a lay-in blown by Banks.
Had the angle. Should have hit that one.
Looked like he couldn't decide whether to dunk it or lay it in. Steve will take it. Airballs it. Parks saves it, but into the hands of Childress.
Cherokee not in the action right now. Duncan ought to hustle to the inside. There he is.
Inside to Tim. The baby hook around the rim and in.
Cherokee Parks was down on the other end of the floor. Meek did the best he could to pick up, but Duncan open. He didn't recognize Parks wasn't with him. Good job by Wake Forest to get it down inside.
So Wake is offset to 3 threes by Capel to tie the game. Meek inside. Strong to the bucket.
Good job by Eric Meek. Back Duncan way downside. Took advantage of his superior strength. It's a good thing to go to a shot blocker like that as Eric Meek did and try to get as close to him as you can. Don't give him that opportunity to have the wingspan advantage.
Flat-footed board for Perall, but there's Capel to take it away. Duke leads by 2.
They're not taking advantage of Langdon's ability to put the ball on the floor against Perall.
Capel.
Well, he's got a hot hand, huh?
11 for Jeff Capel in the first 5 minutes of this game. Childress trying to get on the board.
Blew by Wojo on that play.
And it's a 3-on-1 Duke. Wojciechowski left it short, gets it back, missed it again. And we've got a whistle here. The ball belongs to Duke. We have a timeout on the floor in Winston-Salem with 14:45 left in the half. We'll be back after this word from our good friends at Budweiser. Winston-Salem, everybody. Bob Rathman, Billy Packer, happy to have you with us on this Wednesday night for the Duke-Wake Forest matchup. Duke, Billy, has missed 10 of 15 shots, but Jeff Capel has hit 3 three-pointers, and the Blue Devils have this working margin of 4 points.
And they come in with Blakeney and Price, first substitutes of the game. Basically sticking with that 3-guard alignment, but a little bit bigger now with Wojo out of the game.
Elsewhere in the ACC tonight, the Tar Heels win. Virginia routs Clemson. And NC State stepping out of conference to lead at the half over William & Mary.
Virginia really in the lead in more ways than one. They've won 2 of those 3 games on the road. And in this league, anytime you get those breakthroughs, they're going to be big.
Ricky Price, coming back after the injured ankle, nails the 3, and Duke leading by 7.
Perimeter defense so far by Wake Forest not there. Maybe they're worried about Meek and Parks on the inside.
And you just wonder, Billy, how long it'll go before Childress can put his name in the scoreboard.
Blakeney on him now, pretty strong defender.
Duncan up and in. Timmy with 4. 74% shooter.
One of the things you know that Duke is not going to lay off Childress when the ball goes on the inside.
Eric Meek puts it in.
Second time tonight that Meek has gone right at Duncan. Didn't give him room to operate as a shot blocker.
Ludlam, this is the 3, and Meek outlooks to Blakeney. Duke running 3-on-3. The bounce ahead to Price, slips, gives it back to Blakeney.
I think he was surprised how open he was.
Here's Parks inside. Meek keeps it alive. Boy, showing that strength he talked about, Billy, and he gets fouled. He'll shoot a pair.
Eric Meek doing a good job on the inside. They're overpowering so far Duncan and Peral. There's Cherokee on the inside. Duncan behind him. Cherokee uses his body well to fend it off. Eric comes back down over the top, doing a good job.
That foul was on Duncan, his first. Rusty LaRue, number 10, into the ball game for the Deacons.
Duke comes back with another guard of their own. Collins going to come in. Probably taking Capel out. Both teams pretty deep at the guard position. Duke a little bit more experience with some of the guys coming in off the bench. They've played at least a lot more. But Duke with those 3 freshman perimeter players, this is their 14th game, so they soon will be moving into their sophomore class.
Chris Collins in for the Blue Devils, and Capel goes up. Second opportunity for Meek. The Blue Devils have dominated the glass. They've had 12 rebounds to Wake's 5, and Meek just a little short with it. But the Blue Devils get it back. Price, bad shot. And the rebound goes to Sean Allen, this youngster just eligible, playing his second game for the Deacons, a transfer from Anderson Junior College in South Carolina.
We have 2 guys on the floor right now that both were anticipated as red shirts. Meek, of course, and Allen, who came to Wake, but both teams really needed that for some additional size on the inside.
Meek on the back of Tim Duncan. Picks up his second foul. Fred's coming up at halftime. Stay tuned for the Continental Airlines Fast Takes Contest, brought to you by Continental, the official airline of the ACC.
Allen brings a little bulk to that front line. Certainly not the experience of Scooter Banks, but should give them a pretty decent sub at that position.
Parks had it knocked out of his hands by, or rather Allen did, by Collins. Here's Chris giving it to the Chief, and hold everything. Frank Scaglietta spots a foul inside on Wake Forest.
So Collins pushed from behind on that dish. The second good pass that Collins has made since he came into the game.
Billy, Chris has not shot the ball well this season, and we know he had the foot injury earlier.
Well, you know, Chris went on a real drought in the NCAA tournament last year until the final game against Arkansas. He just couldn't hit the three-point shot. He's having the same type of difficulty this year when you take a look at his stats, not only from 3, but from elsewhere. He's shooting 27% from the floor and only 16% from the three-point line.
Tony Moore is into the ball game for the Devils. Here's Collins spotting up, and misses the 3. Tipped out by Parks, but Childress controls. Here's Randolph. Short, forced that one.
Good hustle by Blakeney.
Wake still looking to hit a 3. Deeks did not shoot well against Florida State from three-point territory here Saturday.
Price may have as an explosive first step as anybody I've seen come into the ACC in a long time. That ankle injury obviously has affected him, not only in missing some games, but looks like it's taken away a little bit of his confidence.
Blakeney, 3, deep in the corner.
It's amazing how Duke is relying, and when you look at their stats, relying an awful lot on the three-point play, not looking to go inside to start creating some half-court offense.
Tip away by Parks. LaRue to Childress for 3. No, too long. I'm feeling, Billy, that Randolph just not in sync yet.
Good cross-court pass. That's one that you'd expect him to hit. I would say that he'll probably get on track if Wake Forest can start running, where he gets into a flow of the game. Not doing it right now. Wake goes into a little bit of a zone. 2-3 zone backed in, wide open at the top.
The Chief reverses, draws the foul.
Did a good job going down underneath the rim, taking away the shot blocking opportunity from the backside by Allen.
Second foul on Sean, and that will send Parks to the line.
Well, when you take a look at what Cherokee has done so far this year, I mean, he's scoring over 20 a game. He's right at about 30 block shots on the year. He's been so consistent with his play, both whether it takes a game where he steps outside, our Christian Leitner a few years ago, or plays on the inside. He's required to play an awful lot of minutes, playing right at about 32 minutes a game. Quality player.
Parks doing a great job at the foul line, too. 81% for the season, 94% in ACC play.
Yeah, he does not have any stat this year that's not right up there.
We'll be back after this from CarQuest Auto Parts.
First day, my new boss throws me the keys.
Get it fixed, kid.
He's not scratched in this game, as you see, 0 for 4 from the field. Came in averaging 18.2, and long documented, Billy, it seemed like the tougher the game and the better Randolph has been, particularly against Duke and North Carolina. Meanwhile, Jeff Capel back in. He has hit 3 threes, and Duke leads by 9.
Well, the other thing about Randolph, too, he seems to score in bunches. So if you're a club like Duke and you see that he's not scoring in the first half, you go in at halftime, you got to be a little bit worried about the guy exploding in the second half. So far, Blakeney doing a nice job all over him, not letting him handle the ball where he wants it. Better defense by Duke.
Barral gives it up to Banks. In and out. Duke continues to dominate the boards. They've out-rebounded Wake Forest 17-8.
Wake stays in the zone. This time, 1-2-2. Duncan and Barral on the back line. Second time tonight, Capel picks up the feet, gets called for walking.
22-11, Duke leading.
Kind of game where you come on the road and you put the home team's crowd to sleep
Right away.
and that's what they've done so far. Wake Forest primarily relying on the 3, not getting a lot of movement in their half-court set. Moore battling down there with Duncan.
Off and over Tony Moore. Tim Duncan has scored 6.
You know what happened on that one, Bob? He gave up about a step and a half the minute Duncan caught the ball. Instead of pressing him and keeping him away from the normal spot that he wanted to shoot. It's kind of an easy shot for Duncan.
Blakeney whips it inside.
Well, you know Blakeney's going to pass rather than shoot on that drive. Good defense by Wake Forest.
Eric Meek is back for the Blue Devils. He's playing with 2 personals. Tony Moore goes out.
Moore picked up a good solid rebound while Meek was out of there. I'm sure they'd like to keep Meek on the bench a little bit longer, though. He started out pretty good. You don't want him to pick up that 3rd foul in the first half. I'm surprised he came back in this early.
Austin LaRue runs it down. Let's see what the Deacons do here. They had some success going inside last time down the floor.
Well, I think what either team can set up an inside game the earliest, the better off they're going to be. That's 2 in a row for Wake Forest. Getting the ball down inside, and I think that's where the ball needs to go. Everybody was relying on the perimeter shot. It's been a 3-point game up to this point. 3-point shooting type game.
Capel silences the crowd again. He's got 13. Wake fans are just starting to get into it a little bit. Scott comes up with a big shot.
I think that Duke really has an advantage. A great drive. Duke really has an advantage in that matchup. A guard with Barral taking a guard. Now he's on Capel when Duke's not playing in, when Wake's not playing in the zone.
Chief inside. His first field goal.
And that last timeout changed an entirely different way that they're playing the game. Pounding it down inside. Comes Duncan again. He's got Meek on him now.
Gets the bounce.
That's a tough shot because he knew Parks was coming in from behind for the block.
He had 17, Billy, against that talented Florida front line earlier this season. He can come up big against some big people. Just hasn't had the consistency in his play.
17 points, 7 rebounds that particular night.
Florida defeat, the only Wake Forest loss this season. Capel inside, Meek had it blocked.
Second block for Duncan.
Boy, he's quick with it.
Oh, you give him room. You've got to really body him so that he doesn't block it. You give him room, and he's so quick off the ground.
Capel just throws it up there.
He tried to draw the foul on that one, Bob. Looked for some help by the referee. It didn't happen.
And that will give it back to the Deacons. Tony Rutland.
Capel goes over and tells Pete Gaudette, you know, I not only was trying to draw the foul, I was looking at the clock in regard to the shot clock winding down.
8:05 remaining in the first half. Duke leading by 5. Rutland, tough pass to handle. And a hell ball. The Arrows will give the ball to Wake Forest.
Well, you notice Rutland, and there was a freshman. On that tie-up, he wanted to call a timeout. He didn't realize which way the arrow was pointed.
Time out on the floor. We'll be back after this word from our good friends at Budweiser. I proof positive instant replay. Right through the net did Tim Duncan get that block shot, Billy?
Well, that's a legal play. He can't go up through the basket, obviously, and knock one out that's coming down in through there, but you can touch the net.
Here's the all-time Wake block list. Anthony Tichy,
right
at the top of the list.
And Larry Harrison behind him there. Harrison and Tichy, I think, both had 9 in a single game, which is the tie for the single-game shot block record. We pointed out tonight that Duncan has 3 games where he blocked at least 8, but he hasn't gotten over that mark. Wake looking to go inside. Meek doing a much better job than Moore did on Duncan.
Nope.
Some ill-advised shots from the perimeter tonight, particularly when things are going pretty well down inside.
Capel started the game with a hot hand outside, Billy, but it seems like both teams doing a much better job when their first look was to go inside.
Childress now picking up the defensive intensity a little bit. I think it surprised Randolph early in the game that Duke was going to take the outside shot as opposed to pound it inside to Parks or to Meek. Meek comes out now. Nice piece of substituting there because with 7:15 to go, you don't want to pick up that third foul.
Parks misses, but Wojciechowski is able to run it down.
And let's see when Wake Forest gets the ball the next time where they go back down inside against Moore with Duncan.
And a travel. Stay tuned at halftime when Dick Vitale presents the DirecTV Dish Out the Winners sweepstakes. Wake Forest trailing by 5 as they bring it up against the Blue Devils. Childress with only 2 in the first half.
There it is. Immediately they go to Duncan.
Rutland a 3, way wide.
Hadn't been close tonight on any of his perimeter shots. Had that last one blocked for an air ball. Just hadn't been there. Not taking advantage of that quickness advantage that he has over Perrault.
And it goes to the Chiefs. Score it. And the foul on Banks.
Again, go back to what I said earlier. The team that goes inside the first and the most is going to really have an advantage in this game. They're going to get to the foul line some. They're going to open up some better things on the perimeter, and they're going to be in much better position to offensive rebound.
6 points for Cherokee Parks.
You know, we talked about blocking shots. Cherokee holds the record at Duke. He had 10 against Clemson a year ago. And look at the offensive rebounding. Duke is leading 11-1 in this game. Part of that has to do with a good job that Parks and Meeks have been doing, but also the fact that by going inside, you're in a better position to get some. Duke goes zone 1-2-2. Look for Childress to try to find a spot here.
Jerry Braswell, number 25 for the Deeks, playing with that nose guard. He suffered a broken nose in practice here right at the start of the new year. Duncan controls it and stuffs it over Moore. My goodness. I thought he was going to lose the ball. He ended up getting it and dunking it.
What was interesting, Wake decided to go inside against the zone. They had some guys on the weak side open on the perimeter. Good job by Tim Duncan. He's listed at 6'10", but he plays bigger. With those long arms, good lift off the floor. Both teams switching from zone to man-to-man. Almost every other time down the floor.
Shot clock at 9, 8, 7. Wojciech on the wing it goes to Blakeney. To Price, rather, and his shot is no good.
Second time tonight that Price has had to take a bad shot. He just is not exploding off that leg the way he did earlier in the season. Really has set him back sitting down a while.
Thanks. And Duncan lays it home. 12 first-half points for Tim Duncan, coming off a 26-point, 20-rebound game against Florida State here Saturday. He's gone 6 for 6 from the field.
Bob, we saw Florida State. It's not like that's easy to have that kind of game against that front line.
And look at how many shots they blocked from the defense they played on Maryland last night.
Yep. There he goes again.
Duncan blocked that time by Parks.
Tim
didn't play this game.
He didn't realize that Parks was coming over from the weak side to help.
Wojciech in and out. Duncan bounce out with the Childress. Let's watch Randolph in transition. Whips it to Braswell, and he puts it in.
Boy, with that face mask, that's a pretty tough catch to make. That ball was thrown like a bullet. Not an easy pass to hang on to.
2-point game.
Wake stays in the man-to-man. Parks looks like he's a little tired. Got Banks on him right now. Duke is just reluctant to give the ball up and set up any kind of half-court offense. I mean, it's one dribble, two dribbles, a guy takes a look, throws up a shot. Very little passing in the half-court. Pretty easy to guard a team that wants to play consistently like that.
Childress hitting to the top. Wojciech walks it up. Pete Godet up off the Duke bench.
Try a little 1-4 set down low. Something maybe for Parks. There he is.
Again, the Deacons have the opportunity to tie with a 2, take the lead with a 3.
Don't you get a feeling like the first option is all that's happening in this particular game?
They don't turn the offense over too many times.
No, not making anything easy in the half-court set. It's almost like 1-on-1 basketball.
Hand off to Childress, and the foul on Wojciech.
He beat him around the corner. Not much else that Wojciech could do other than grab onto him or count on somebody to pick him up inside.
Eric Meek and Kenny Blakely return for Duke, and we have a timeout on the floor here in Winston-Salem. Tim Duncan with 12 first-half points to lead the Deeks. They've come within 2 of the Blue Devils. A lot of grunts and groans out there, Billy.
That was against the zone, and instead of going ahead and whipping the ball across court to the jump shot, Wake went down inside. You know, you talk about Duncan, he's averaging 17 a game, but he's leading the league in field goal shooting percentage at 73%. That leads by 9% over his closest pursuer. He leads the league in reboundings by 2 rebounds a game, leads the league in shot blocking at 4.7 a game. And this young man's having quite a career.
Well, there's some distance there between the number 1 and the number 2. Duncan tied up by Meek, and the ball will go over to Duke. Point guard Pure Power is proud to present the ACC Player of the Week. Look for this feature prior to the second half tip-off.
Duncan really had Meek beat on that particular penetration. Field goal percentage, and the reason for it, in my estimation, is that in the case of both teams, are really one option on the half court. The guy who's got it shoots it. Nothing's been easy. No fast break points.
6'10" Ricky Perall is matched up with Collins. Now he's got Ricky Price. Big quickness advantage for the Blue Devils. Shot clock again winding down, and the Devils, Ricky Price has to take a floater. Meek controls another offensive rebound, but double dribble.
About for Price, you see the shots that he's taken. I mean, he's been out of action, and he comes in the ball game just taking shots that I really have not seen from him before.
Duke has 12 offensive rebounds.
And that's what has them in the ball game right now.
Duke has not had a basket building since the 6:20 mark of this first half. Childress could not hit the open three.
Well, Randolph likes a more fast-paced ball game than this, so he's doing a lot of standstill shooting. Hadn't been able to really get going so far.
Again, the shot clock winding down. Collins just dribbled it off somebody's foot. I think it was Parol's. Now the Deacs have a chance to get even for the first time since it was tied at 9.
But my question on that dribble would be not that it got away from him, but where was he going? Exactly. You know, I mean, suppose he gets through there. You know, what has he accomplished?
ACC basketball coming up Saturday, and an early start at noon. We'll have the Tar Heels against Rick Barnes' Clemson Tigers, and then at 2 p.m. we'll follow the Deacons as they trek northward to College Park to take on the Maryland Terrapins in the second half of the doubleheader at 2 p.m. Duke leading by 2, under a minute to go in the first half. Collins. Here's Price reversing, and Duncan blocks that one. That's his 4th block.
Tremendous block, because that's what you expect from Price. He just blew right by Parole.
Childress had it blocked. Back out to LaRue for 3. And the Deacons lead.
Excellent follow through.
28-27 Wake.
LaRue, who holds the North Carolina High School three-point mark, throwing a nice follow through there.
Duke waiting for the final shot of the half.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of strategy it is to have a guy who's really not a scorer holding the ball for the last shot.
Blakeney coming off a Park screen. Dribbles through, puts it up and off. Chief crashes. Duke can't score. Wake Forest takes the lead to the locker room. We've reached the half in Winston-Salem with a score. The Deacs 28 and Duke 27. Stay with us. Halftime is next.
Tonight's ACC action is brought to you by Food Lion, by Lincoln Mercury, by Central.
6 in a row overall this season, and they've won 3 straight games from the Duke Blue Devils. Billy Packer, you mentioned Randolph Childress. He had just 2 points in that first half tonight, but keep in mind, last year, in the game here in Winston-Salem, when he scored 28 against Duke, he had 22 in the second half.
Exactly, and if you're on that Duke bench as a coach, you're saying to yourself, hey, how long can we keep this guy down? You know he can explode, and you know that he can put a lot of points on the board in a short period of time.
The matchup inside between Parks and Duncan. And this is Tim feeding it over to Parole, who lifts it in.
Good job by the Wake Forest coaching staff, recognizing early there's a big mismatch in size in that particular position. Let's see if Duke counters by getting the ball in Langdon's hand and taking advantage of his quickness. There it is.
And Langdon was fouled. Larry Rose spots the infraction, and it's going to be on Duncan. It will be Tim's first foul of this game. Billy, Duke, at the end of the half, went stone cold. They did not score in the last 6:20. They missed their last 7 shots in the field. What changes for Coach Gaudette and company do you think they'll have here in the second half?
Well, one of the things that we're seeing right here, Langdon, of course, being guarded by Parole, has a big advantage in quickness. When he puts the ball on the floor, they can take advantage on that. The other thing I think they have to do is to start getting into their high-low offense and let Parks and Meek operate a little bit inside, pound the ball down, open some things up so that the perimeter game is not all that they're doing.
The 2 free throws by Langdon, breaking the Duke dry spell.
You know, we talked about the Duke guards. It's not like the Wake Forest guards tore it up. They were the starting guards were 1 for 12 in the first half.
And Childress an uncharacteristic 1 for 7. Rutland struggled shooting the ball in the first half.
He still hasn't hit one.
Cable, Duke's shining light in that first half. They've had 13 and 3 3-pointers. Langdon for 3. There's the rotation.
There's the matchup that I think works for Duke early on, except for going inside.
32-30 Blue Devils.
Rojo doing a pretty good job trying to keep the ball away from Randolph, particularly in shooting areas. Clear out on the side.
And Childress draws the foul.
No talking on the Duke's defense right there. The entire side was cleared off with nobody back there to help Wojo. Childress put that ball on the floor. Good hesitation, dribble, and broke to the basket. Nice job by Dave Odom there, knowing that he wants to get his star in the action and get him on the board here early in the second half.
Randolph Childress, who was runner-up to Duke's Grant Hill as the ACC Player of the Year last year.
He's another guy that would have been on that Goodwill Games team and probably would have knocked Duncan off. He was selected but had that shoulder separation. Remember in the Carolina game at the end of the year?
And he was a wounded warrior.
Yes, he was.
Then he had that surgery this summer to repair the dislocation. Tied at 32.
Duke has not gone down in low yet in this second half.
Capel leans in, misses it.
Tough shot. They don't give the offense a chance to work. Bob, you know, it's put the ball on the floor, go one-on-one.
I would think, too, Billy, that would cause to have some standing around by the rest of the team.
Well, it does, and you're not sure, since it's not in the flow of a half-court offense, when a guy is going to shoot. Consequently, you shouldn't be there for a very good rebound.
And Rutland hit the open three, yes. First three-pointer in ACC play for Tony Rutland. Gives Wake a 3-point lead.
A young man who played with Allen Iverson, a young guy that's tearing it up through Georgetown early on. There's that Duke matchup advantage.
And Langdon has scored all 7 of his points here in the second half. Rutland blocked by Parks. Tony gets a hand on it. Bats it over to Banks. Duncan. And here's Langdon. Looked like he was going to have pretty good position before he fouled Ricky Perrault.
I think that the foul was really a delayed call there because as far as the interception was concerned, he had broken away, but he was holding before that. Perrault wanted to take Langdon down inside.
Duncan.
Half hook. Nice defense by Parks.
But it went out of bounds off Eric Meek.
You can see that Duncan, of course, has really got the stats, but somewhat limited offensively when he gets about 15 feet away from the basket.
Cherokee, second behind Mike Jaminski on the all-time Duke list in shot rejected. Childress being ridden by Rojo.
And what I like about what Randolph's experience is teaching him, you know, he has not been that strong with his jump shot tonight, so he's starting to put the ball on the floor and trying to beat Rojo off the dribble.
For Steve Wojciechowski, it's his 3rd foul.
And so Childress gets what he wants. He's going to get probably Blakeney coming in to take Rojo out of the game. See, there he goes again. Using the dribble to take on the freshman. Smart play. Very smart.
3-point Deacon advantage. Parks. Looks like Banks got a piece of the ball.
Yep, on the way up. You see so many guys that are good at that, you know? And it just threw off the shot enough. And now with 3 fouls, it wouldn't be a bad idea for Childress to try to take him again.
Perrault inside.
That's his spot.
Duncan too strong. Meek kept it alive, and it's going to be Langdon to bring it out. Bumped and fouled by Rutland at midcourt.
Langdon got off to a pretty good start here in the second half. Not on a basketball scholarship at Duke. He's there as a professional baseball player. Padres organization, and he has to give up about 2 months in the summer to fulfill that obligation.
The Major League Baseball is a program that pays for these athletes who will play baseball to continue their college days.
Well, if they don't get the strike settled, maybe it'll be a major leaguer this summer for strikes. And I don't say that kiddingly because I like to see baseball get settled, but who knows what's going to happen in this crazy world. And again, Duke doing a good job taking advantage of a mismatch.
So Langdon with 2 threes here in the second half and 10 points. And Langdon at the other end that time got caught behind Perall.
It's getting like an NBA game right here. Both teams recognize the mismatch situation when they get on their end of the floor and taking advantage of it.
Third foul on Trajan Langdon. We'll continue after this message from Continental, the official airline of the ACC. And minuses to this Langdon-Perall matchup.
Well, the pluses are right now for Wake Forest is that was Langdon's 3rd foul. More than likely, he'll foul out trying to guard Perall as opposed to the other way around because Perall is guarding him on the perimeter.
Here's Childress drawing the foul on Blakeney.
On purpose. Another smart play by Randolph. You know, with Mike Krzyzewski out, I was interested in, we never think of coaches being out of the game. You know, Mike has been around a long time missing this ball game. Of course, everybody wants him back quickly. And I start thinking around. I don't ever remember Dean Smith missing a game. So I asked the question. He's been 33 years, and he's never missed a basketball game. Gary Colson, who's now out at Fresno State, in 33 years has never missed a basketball game in coaching, which is incredible. Never sick, never, whatever the case may be, never injured. A tragedy in the family or something like that. And Jim Phelan, who is coaching 41 seasons, has missed 1 game in 41 years. That's right. That's incredible.
Wow, that really is. Childress, 1 for 2, or 2 for 3, I should say, at the line. Langdon now matched up by Randolph Childress.
If I'm Duke, I start getting Parks in this game in the second half.
Well, the lead just too long for Eric Meek.
But Parks has got Scooter Banks guarding him because they've got Duncan on Meeks. I think the Duke ought to start getting Parks in the game in the second half here, going down inside.
It's time to play fast takes. Identify the player that appeared in the Continental Airlines halftime feature. Call 1-800-836-3ACC now to enter. Your secret code is 22. 39-37 Deeks. 5 minutes into the second half.
Both teams showed some zone in the first half. Now going strictly man-to-man on both ends.
He kicks it out to Caper. 10 rebounds for Eric in this game.
Very funny game. Has no pace to it whatsoever. Look, and there's Duke again. One guy gets the ball. That's not Blakeney's shot. Taking a jumper and scoring this particular 39-37. Want to get something inside.
Rutland for 3.
Oh, look good on that one.
Getting some confidence.
That must have been some backcourt they had up in your neighborhood.
Yeah. Over at Bethel High School.
Won the state crown.
Iverson was at the point. Rutland was the shooting guard, and now we got an offensive foul on Duke.
But you see again, there's Duke with a one-on-one situation. Don't give up the ball quickly. Not looking to make a pass and cut.
And Blakeney runs over the freshman, and we've got a timeout called by Duke. We'll be back after this word from our good friends at Bud Light. Wake Forest by 5 over Duke. And the head coach, Dave Odom, ACC Coach of the Year, 2 the last 4 seasons. Done a great job here at Wake Forest. If they go to the NCAAs this year, and no doubt they will, their 5th straight year. Wake Forest had been 4 times in the 27 seasons before Dave Odom arrived on the scene.
And the second time in this half, Childress had Meek up in the air and bounces into him. He'll shoot 3 foul shots. It was a 3-point attempt. He had no intention of making this. He just realized he had him up in the air. A little out of the books of NBA-style play. Look at that ball. Never even had a chance to go in. Eric Meek, never known for his footwork, but that far away from the basket really shouldn't try to challenge Randolph Childress.
There are 3 free throws for Randolph. Langdon, Meek, and Wojo all with 3 fouls for the Blue Devils. And speaking of Wojo, he and Ricky Price come back in for Duke. The announcers for this game, selected and compensated by Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports, and the use of this broadcast without their express permission is prohibited.
Bob, you asked me before the game, what would not having Mike Krzyzewski mean to this ball club? I said sometimes in the short run, a team pumps itself up to show what they can do. I haven't seen that out of this Duke team here tonight. I mean, it looks like a confused club right now. It seems down. Obviously, they've lost a couple of ball games, but you don't see a fire there. And certainly they're not in any kind of flow in the half-court offense.
And the Deacons in this time stretch, say the last 6 minutes of the first half and the start of the second half, they're starting to really seize control of this game, leading 44-37. A 7-0 run goes to 10-0, and Childress drains the long three.
Well, we said he scores in bunches, and now the backcourt from Wake Forest starting to put it on him. They've got to go to Parks.
Interception by Banks.
Forced it in.
Randolph. Nope, short. Online, but short. Duncan left it short. Inside, it's Banks. Powers in.
Two great plays by Scooter Banks. One on the defensive end, and they're just powering things inside. Now the crowd gets into the ball game, so Duke has another opponent.
Wake Forest with a 12-point lead. Its biggest of the night.
Parks trying to get position, but they've waited 7 minutes to start thinking about it. Pretty good defense by Wake Forest on the interior right now.
Shot clock at 7 and a steal by Childress. Randolph all the way. 15 for Randolph, 13 in the second half, Billy, just like last year against Duke.
Well, Duke doesn't want to have to quickly call another timeout, but they're going to.
Pete Gaudette signaling for the timeout.
He's asking for it. Nobody recognizing him.
It's Price to score.
That was a break for Duke. Gaudette was up on the sideline, signaling timeout. Nobody recognized it. They end up getting a pretty decent shot.
51-39 Deeks.
But with this man hot.
Nice dish. Banks. Here's a loose ball picked up by LaRue. He'll take it and hit it. That's a two-pointer.
Rutland is down. I think he got hurt. I think he's going to be all right. I think he got the wind knocked out of him a little bit. Got an assist on the play by getting hurt.
53-39 Wake Forest. And friends, here's our nation's bank, a corporate partner of the 96 Olympics, presenting this Olympic trivia question. And a foul inside.
There's another one of those smart fouls, as we saw in the highlight piece. Sometimes it's better to go ahead and take that shot, put a man on the line who's really not a top-notch free throw shooter, as opposed to giving up the easy one.
Once again, fans, we have that question for you from Nations Bank. Here it is. What current Wake Forest coach represented the U.S. as a middle distance runner in the 68 and 72 Olympics? To mull that one over is Eric Meek. Goes to the foul line for the Blue Devils. In the Clemson defeat, Meek with foul difficulty scored only 3 points. He has 3 fouls and 4 points tonight. Misses the foul shot.
You know, last year you think of this Duke club and the 2 losses to Wake Forest. Obviously, their key performer was Grant Hill, who had a 23-point and a 24-point game against them, kind of balancing off Childress. No Grant Hill to go to tonight.
Nick misses them both, and Ricky Price comes up with another Duke offensive rebound. Langdon for 3. Nails it.
Good job by Chris Collins, penetrating, dish out.
A second half, Billy, like you saw in Chicago against Illinois for Langdon.
Yep. He was a key in that ballgame. It was a big win to win, you know, on the road like that. Illinois, a solid club, undefeated right now in the Big Ten so far. With Michigan State's lost to Indiana tonight, I guess that moves them right to the top.
Childress squeezes it in off inside, and Parks rips it away, and Childress with a foul.
Good job by Cherokee Parks. Randolph had to move inside. He respected Parks' shot blocking ability. Probably should have just put it up easier. But there's no question, the fans screaming at the refs. The ref had a very good look. And without question, it was a foul on Childress.
Team foul situation, so Wake will move into the 1-1. Langdon misses this one. Braswell got a hand on it. LaRue control.
There's only been one attempt to pass the ball inside the Parks. That one picked off by Banks.
Wake Forest missed its first 6 3-point attempts tonight. They have now hit their last 4. Deacons lead by 11.
Boy, Langdon is pretty strong. Childress really has to push to get away from him.
Randolph dumps it inside to Duncan. Fake, bank, hit.
Great move by Randolph Childress. Forced the double team. Made Parks come out on him. Good job in a pick and roll by Duncan.
Deeks dominating inside. Parks tries to get Duke back in it. Draws Scooter Banks' 3rd foul.
That, to me, is the only way Duke gets back in this basketball game. Punch it into Parks. Get Banks out of the ball game. That's his 3rd foul. Force Wake Forest to go to the bench with some inexperience. When you think about Duke's great runs, the Connecticut game, which they lost in the grade 8, first time that Duke has lost to an outside opponent in 36 games outside the ACC. Of course, nothing to be ashamed of losing to Connecticut. Ranked number 2 in the nation right now, a powerful club, particularly on defense.
Rutland comes in for Braswell. You talk about Duke runs, I think back to the George Washington game, and yes, they were playing at home, but they put together a run to start that game against GW, and second to none, hit 11 out of 13, had a 30-point lead at halftime.
And then how about the run against them that Michigan had, 20-0, when Duke was in firm control of that ball game.
So it has really been
an experience has a lot to do with that, particularly in the backcourt. See, what Childress is doing right now, Langdon is trying to prevent him from touching the ball. Childress is letting him body and then pushing away from him. Langdon gets caught to the hole.
4 fouls on Langdon.
Very smart plays by Randolph Childress, taking advantage of the freshman's inexperience.
Trajan goes out of the ball game with those 4 personals, and Randolph Childress, as Cable returns, goes to the foul line, and Randolph will be shooting 1 and 1.
And Wake Forest is going to be on that foul line a lot, I think, the rest of the way. We're at the 10-minute mark, already in the 1 and 1.
Biggs control.
I thought Rutland was going to put that up.
I did too.
Childress wanted to clear out.
Wake Forest, backdoor beauty. Just didn't get it to roll in. Nice look by Austin LaRue. Collins. Holds it in. Roll. Chris Collins with his first bucket of the game. And the Wake Forest lead is 10.
Even though Rutland didn't make that shot, I kind of like that backdoor move he made. Good instinctive play. Picking up defensive intensity, playing a lot better right now.
Duncan. Second time gets it.
Well, anybody that's a good rebounder, as he is leading the league, gets a lot of them on that second jump, and that's how he beat Parks.
Cable on the shovel to Meek. Duncan got a hand on that one.
Sensational play by Tim Duncan.
Up ahead, here's Rutland to the trailing Scooter Banks. He puts it in. No basket. Let's see. It is going to be a charge on Banks.
Well, that showed his athleticism, though, didn't it? You see him explode to the basket. Outstanding high school football player, in addition to being a track man and basketball player. And talking about maybe next year playing some football. There's the block from behind by Duncan. Sensational play. Now here you see Scooter just elevate on the inside without question. the charge on his part. Good job by Meade.
Scooter with 4 personals. And to be careful there, Collins launches the 3. Chris Collins' first 3-pointer in ACC play this season.
That was about, what, 4 steps or 5 steps beyond the 3-point line. Dangerous pass.
8:20 remaining in the game. Childress right to the basket.
Remember the last time when he was worried about the shot being blocked? That time he just took it right into the hoop.
Collins, another long 3.
Not the answer.
Tipped out. And the ball goes over to Wake Forest. Perall is back. Banks to the bench for the Deacs with 4 personals.
Meek has to take a seat, a little bit of foul trouble, and obviously wearing down some, chasing a little quicker opponent. Easy, you folks. Easy. So there's some safety when they throw it out to Childress, isn't there? You know, you just get a feeling.
My goodness, with the shot clock at 7.
Don't know what Randolph was thinking, and neither does Dave Odom, and he gets on his star a little bit on that one.
And a timeout. Dave can talk it over a little more. 7:34 left in the game. Deacons by 11.
Where Scooter Banks does a good job. The ball thrown a little bit weak. He explodes up here defensively. You can see the ball thrown on the wrong side of Cherokee Park. Duke not doing a good job at all getting the ball to him in the second half, and credit Wake's defense for some of it.
The offensive rebound story was a big one for Duke in the first half, but they have only 1 here in the second half. Tim Duncan having another big game, 16 points, and he has blocked 7 rebounds and 5 blocks tonight. So another sensational overall game. And Childress, you know, I think of Randolph and the Deacon team this year to the way and the role that Grant Hill played for Duke last year. When everything is going awry, throw it to number 22.
Parks. See, a little frustrated because he has not been touching the ball. That should have been goaltending. Perall knocked that ball away.
While it was in the cylinder.
Yeah, sure it was in the cylinder. Now Wake Forest looking to frustrate Duke a little bit. They're already in the 1-1. Duke is not. We'll be in the next one. Going to use up a little clock here, but still suitable time to play.
Childress inside. Duncan spins. Parks the rebound.
Nice little left-hand move there.
You get the feeling, Billy, if Duke is going to make a run to win this game, it has to start right now. They can't waste many more offensive possessions.
Nope.
That clock down to 6:30.
You notice how they have not been able to get Price in a situation for a good shot. Now they're going right into Cherokee.
LaRue gets the rebound, but he fouls.
You know what happened? He got his arm caught in a Duke player and got penalized for it. We see a replay here. Watch what happens. He gets his arm caught. Duke player falls away. Rusty LaRue didn't need the action. Picks up a cheap foul.
So Ricky Price is the beneficiary. A 75% foul shooter this is rookie season. This is the front end of a 1-1. Boy, does that hurt.
Definitely does. As you said, they've got to make a run. There's roughly 6 minutes to go the next time they touch the ball. Back screen.
Soft touch. Timmy with 18 tonight.
Beautiful back screen by Randolph Childress to set up the position that time for Duncan to get the ball down low. Something Duke has not done for Cherokee Parks. He's got a switch now. He's got Perall on it.
Capel.
so many one-on-one individual type moves.
And Price splitting the double team, draws the foul on Childress. Randolph's second. Hard to believe, Billy, that this Duke club is in danger of falling to 0-3 in the ACC for the first time since 1982. Coach K's second season at Durham.
Well, one of the things that they can think about is the fact that they are on the road early in the ACC season. North Carolina, a team that is at home considerable amount of time early on. And as I said before, when you get those breakthroughs on the road, they're really going to be critical this year, and that's why I think Virginia, although they started the season against Ohio U looking like they're going to have all kinds of problems, but Jeff Jones always seems to have maybe a slow start the first couple of weeks, has them on the move now.
Trajan Langdon is back for Duke, and Ricky Price goes out after hitting the 2 free throws. The Blue Devils tonight have shot 31% from the floor. 61-50, Wake Forest.
Oh, nice pump fakes.
Parks the board.
Good job by Parks. He pushed Duncan right out underneath the basket. Got away with it.
Capel trying to use the Parks screen, and that's going to be an illegal block on Parks, and they're not going.
He got by with a push down on one end, so there's some justice there. Because without question, and you're not going to get away with a solid screen out at the top of the key with the referee standing right there looking at it. I mean, there's no way to get by. And now we go, next one, Wake goes on that line, shooting 2 from here on out. Puts Duke in the even bigger hole.
Wake with only 1 second-half turnover.
Duke with 13 turnovers, turned the ball over more than 20 times against Georgia Tech. Again, the inconsistency in the backcourt. Dave Odom liking what he sees now with his key man on the line.
Childress, 16 of those 18 in the second half.
It's kind of interesting how Childress and Duncan build up their stats rather quietly, don't they?
Duncan blocks it. His 6th block shot tonight.
But again, Bob, one of the things that really surprised me about Duke, because I've seen them earlier in the year, is that everything tonight has been isolated one-on-one, whether it be the guard or the big guy. That's not their game.
Capel wins the game.
That may be the first fast break point of the night for them.
You know, that's one thing, Billy. The Duke Blue Devils, during the championship runs, they were getting a lot of points off the defense. Right? And those points have been few and far between, not only tonight, but really this season. Childress.
Knows how to play the game.
Oh, he's putting on a clinic here in the second half.
He was very patient in the first half, did not hit from the outside. Remember, right at the start of the second half, put the ball on the floor to get closer shots. There he's fighting with Langdon, and he wants to play, but Langdon is a powerful kid. Was able to beat him there.
The thing that's impressed me about Childress tonight, Billy, is that as the veteran player, the senior, and the leader, he let the game come to him. He didn't try to force it in the first half when things weren't going his way.
Exactly right. You know, Langdon and Wojciechowski and Price were part of the American junior team that qualified for the World Juniors down in Argentina, and actually missed the first 4 or 5 days of school this year as part of that ball club. Quite a compliment to Duke to have 3 players selected for it.
15 for Langdon, and Duke trying to hang around. We'll be back after this word from our good friends at Bud Light. At Pizza Hut, you'll love this stuff playing the game, and the stuff works defensively this time for Tim Duncan.
Well, the reason for it, too, was the fact that Cherokee Parks, again, on a one-on-one situation, tried to beat Duncan from 18 feet. Nobody moving, no screen for him, no offensive flow, and it ended up in a block.
There's the tandem, Duncan and Childress. What they've done today, Randolph scoring 21 and Tim scoring 18.
for Cherokee Parks, although that wasn't his last shot. He's 2 for 14 tonight and has not hit 1 out of 6 in the second half. Randolph just kind of toying with things out here now, wanting to use some clock. Remember the end of the first half when I said you like to have a score with the ball in his hands if you're going to wind the clock down, not just a guy that can dribble.
Great feed to Perrault. Equally impressive block by Eric Meek.
Caught him in midair, didn't he?
Just stopped him cold. And another block by Duncan. Number 7.
Well, again, you know, you got a great shot blocker you're playing against. You try to beat a guy from 20 feet. Who do you think's going to be waiting on the end of that when you've exhausted all of your one-on-one stuff?
Capel draws the contact. And that would be number 4 on Randolph.
Hey, Langdon and Capel, 2 strong guys out there on the floor right now, one-on-one. Both about 6'4", powerful. There was the good dish. Burrell should have been ready to finish. Nice defensive play by Meek. Now watch this. Here's Duncan again. Where we have seen him scored on effectively is when his man puts a body on him and scores. But if you're going to give him room to come get you, he's got great timing, great extension on the arms.
Scooter Banks returns for Wake Forest.
Wake comes back into the rested front line. And they're going to put the ball, obviously, in Childress' hands for most of the remaining 3 minutes of this game when they've got it.
Up to 17. 65-56 Wake Forest.
17, and he had 13 in about the first 4 minutes of the game.
And a blocking foul on Meek. He hit the deck pretty hard. And again, it was Childress drawing the defense and then the dish. Our Nations Bank Olympic Trivia Contest question tonight. What current Wake Forest coach represented the U.S. as a middle distance runner in 68 and 72? The correct answer, Francie Goodrich, a women's track and cross-country coach here at Wake. Randolph has scored 21 tonight. He's tied Frank Johnson for 6th on the all-time Wake scoring list, and now moves ahead of him with that free throw.
Randolph, a guy who actually, from the standpoint of his career on the next level, probably is going to have an advantage having to sit out in the year with that knee injury. Because you got to figure he will be drafted relatively high this year. Going to the three-point shot. That's all that's left for Duke to get back in this thing.
They missed a couple of them, and they'll get another try with the ball out of bounds.
Down 11, I still think with 2:50 to go, they've got time to take good shots.
Blakeney misses the bank. And Meek eventually tips it in. 6 for Meek tonight.
But it doesn't have to be panic time with the threes. But it does have to be stop time down on the other end of the floor. Childress understands that too. He knows the clock is an opponent for Duke right now, so he's going to take advantage of it. Dribbling that ball nice and low to the floor.
Childress. And a great dish to Scooter Banks. Contact, but no whistles, and Childress kept right on with the play.
Well, that's because he's under control. Bob, that's what I was talking about. You got a guy that can score or pass. Oh, I'll tell you what, Rusty LaRue took a shot to the shoulder, and it's the shoulder. I think it's the shoulder, his football injury. He is really hurt.
He went down in a heap off the ball.
He knows what it is.
He separated that shoulder at the end of football season.
Yeah, he knows what happened to him.
And I think that has reared its ugly head again.
Well, he took a shot. Well, it's good to see him be able to raise that arm.
69-58 Deacons.
They get some ice on that thing right away. It scared him, you know that.
Oh,
no shoulder pads on in this game. watching him over in the sideline. Looks like he's kind of rolling it off all right, though. This is a tough pass here, handling this guy.
Parks trying to get it. Look at Childress sneak in there trying to tie him up.
Capel explodes
And scores. Jeff with 19, and Duke takes a timeout. That will be its second. They have one remaining. A minute 21 left in this game. We'll return after this message from the Atlantic Coast Conference. Our game reset. Wake with all three of its allotted timeouts. Duke with one left. The Blue Devils have the possession arrow, and both teams in the bonus. There's CD, one of the all-time great Deeks, Charlie Davis.
Still holds the record for scoring in one game, 51 points. One of the great guards that ever played, not only in this school, but in this league. Weighed about all of 150 pounds, maybe 145. Good to see LaRue back in the game. Charlie had unlimited range, and no telling what he would have scored with the three-point play, you know. It's kind of interesting when you go back and think of guys that were great three-point shooters like Rick Mount of Purdue, Pete Maravich, guys that no telling what their scoring average would have been.
Duke pressure, trying to force the turnover. Perrault comes to meet the ball in a double team and fouled by Parks.
Well, with 1:18 to go, that's about what Duke is going to have to do now. Down 9 with Wake going on to the line with 2. You've got to start thinking now foul, because they only have one timeout left. Foul and look for three-point shots.
At the free throw line tonight, Wake is hit 11 of 14 as Capel returns and Wojo goes out. And of the 11 of 14, Childress has been to the line, Billy, 13 times. He's hit 10 of them.
Not unusual for him. You know, he's a guy that can get to the line because, number one, you have to respect his outside jumper, so you got to play him tight out there. He's not afraid to take it all the way to the hoop, as we've seen a couple of times today. And he has that ability to pull up and take the short one as well. And he's smart enough to know how to get fouled. We've seen that twice tonight on jump shots.
And 3 free throws on each occasion.
Right. Got to be thinking 3 here.
Langdon drives, misses. Here's Capel.
Oh, big foul.
And it's on LaRue.
Boy, that was a big foul. You might as well let a guy have one that's uncontested inside there. Langdon with his strength takes it right inside. Duncan can't get it. Good hustle on the inside by Parks, and Capel, who's had a very good ball game offensively, puts it back up. He's a strong kid.
So Duke trying to get a three-pointer the old-fashioned way. 69-62. But Capel misses the free throw, and Rutland rebounds.
Get that ball in Childress' hands.
Minute to go. And a foul on Blakely. This sort of reminds me, Billy, a little bit of the Connecticut game that Duke played at Auburn Hills back in December, where the Huskies were in control late, but Duke was able to come back late in the game and have a chance to tie, miss some free throws, and Connecticut was able to win that game. Sort of the same script here today. Wake Forest, they haven't put this one away yet. They can go a long way in doing that, though, with Childress at the line.
Well, remember Cherokee Parks in that game, too, with that technical foul.
Yeah, he had 3 fouls, got a foul, which was his 4th, and barked about the call, jumped up and down in the air, and was assessed a technical foul, which counted as his 5th, and he was gone with, if my memory serves me right, about 4 minutes to go.
But Duke was playing a lot better then than they are right now.
No question.
Even though it was earlier in the season. Team right now kind of out of sync.
Capel spins, floats, and scores. Yeah, he's had 23 tonight. 70-64.
Got a foul early. Got a foul early. No sense letting the clock go by. Amazing.
Childress gives it up to Banks.
They got a foul.
And it is Price to come over and get him.
Gave up about 11 seconds. And when you start thinking about, you need possessions here because you know they're going to make some free throws. You're down 6, so you might as well say you're down 3 possessions. 11 seconds with 40 seconds to go is not going to get it done for you. Going to foul immediately.
If you had to pick a guy, it might be Banks. Scooter just 56% at the line.
The only problem, Bob, you cannot wait at this stage in the game until Banks touches the ball.
Right.
I mean, even though you don't want to put Childress on the foul line, you got to put him down there to save the seconds.
Wake Forest timeout with 34.7 seconds left, and the Deacons leading Duke 71-64.
ACC action has been brought to you by Nations Bank, by MCI, by Pizza Hut, and by Nationwide Insurance.
We are back in Winston-Salem with the Deacons trying to wrap up their 4th consecutive victory over the Duke Blue Devils, leading 71-64. And boy, that sign there is certainly true. Wake Forest has won 5 of its last 7 against Duke and trying to do it again. Doubleheader Saturday coming at you beginning at noon from Littlejohn. The Tar Heels and the Tigers kick things off. And then at 2 p.m., Wake Forest looking to what they hope will be take a 2-0 record to Maryland to beat Gary Williams and the Terps. That's coming along Saturday. Check your local listing.
That'll be interesting because you have the league's highest scoring team going against the league's lowest scoring team. Boy, how about contrast to styles there?
And Billy, how about these Blue Devils looking at 0-3 and going home to meet Virginia?
Yep. Well, that becomes an absolute must game for Duke. And for Virginia, an opportunity for another breakthrough. And if you started off this league playing your 3 of your first 4 games on the road and winning 3 of them, be a terrific accomplishment. And I think Virginia now, we talk about Duke being a little out of sync. I think they're getting in sync when you just look at the scores of their games, Bob. You know, in the 70s. I mean, that's the way they like to grind it out. Fine perimeter game, strong inside, pretty good bench.
Blake Meade missing the 3, and there's Banks to get the rebound.
Now, he high jumped as a junior in high school, 6'10", won the state high school high jumping championship. That showed you what kind of bounder he is right on that play.
Boy, some major league elevation on this one. He just snatched that rebound with one hand.
Now, I'll tell you something else about what Dave Oldham has done with his Wake Forest program as far as elevating it. A few years ago, Wake Forest beating Duke would have had people on the edge of their seats ready to come down on the floor and tear up the basket. But this team pretty confident about themselves, as if like, hey, you know, we not only belong here, we expected to win this game.
Oh, just another victory over
Yeah,
Duke.
exactly.
It is amazing how well they played the Blue Devils here the last 4 years.
I think it's quite a story about Rick Barnes, you know, saying that he told his team before they played at Duke, look, after we beat them tonight, I want no big celebration.
That's right.
Kids carried that out. Got to look to put it up. Look at Banks again, getting up in the air.
Out of bounds belongs to Duke. 13.1 seconds left. Wake Forest looking to improve to 9-1 and 2-0 in the ACC. Langdon short with it.
There is Banks beating the Parks to the rebound.
Loose ball. It's out of bounds to Wake Forest with just under 6 seconds left. A night for the Deacons in Winston-Salem. Their winning streak will go to 7. Rutland dribbles it out. The ball game is over. Randolph Children sparks a big second half for the Deeks. Randolph was 24 tonight and 22 in the second half. The final score from Winston-Salem.